This is the Bill Pollock Show.
Mizzou men's basketball will try to snap their 10-game losing streak tonight at Mississippi State. That could be tough. That could be tough. I ran into athletic director Jim Sterk the other day, and he had some interesting things to say. So I'll share those with you, providing perhaps a glimpse of the future of Mizzou basketball. And then I'll run some numbers past you of just how awful Division I basketball is here in the state of Missouri, across the state, not just Mizzou. When you hear this, you won't be able to wait until spring training. Something other than basketball. Get me baseball. Get me soccer. Let's build the soccer stadium in St. Louis. Let's get that going. College basketball is awful. It's so bad, it's got me thinking that, yeah, I might watch a soccer match. That's how bad it is. I've never been a big fan of Erin Andrews. I think her sideline style of reporting might have worked early on, but then it was just like you just saw her all the time. And, she acts like she's buddy-buddy with these guys. It's almost like she's, flirting with them, like she's trying to fit in. It's just, like I said, maybe that angle, if she wasn't on as much, would be a little bit different. But, boy, it's like Joe Buck. It's like she's on all the time. Baseball, football, Dancing with the Stars, awful commercials for probiotics or whatever it is. It's like enough of Erin Andrews. As much as, and I was upset that Fox pushed Pam Oliver out of the way for Andrews. I could stomach listening to Pam Oliver. So as much as I dislike Andrews, I do admire her, and I have respect for her, because it's just coming out that days after she had surgery for cervical cancer, she was back on the job, covering Sunday afternoon football games, not letting it slow her down. And for that, I admire her. That takes toughness. That takes guts. And hopefully she recovers from this. That's a scary thing. So you can dislike people, but you can certainly respect and admire. All right, I just want to say that I've got to get this off my chest too about President Trump. Yeah, I think a lot of us are missing the point on the importance of his election. And I've heard it, and listen, tell me if you disagree. But we've heard family, friends, coworkers. Doesn't matter if you're Democratic, Republican. We've all said the same thing. Crooked politicians, right? At some point in the last 15, 20, whether Bush was in office, Obama, at some point over the last, let's say 16 years, right? We've all said crooked politicians, nothing's going to change. They're only looking out for their best interests. But from what Trump said in his inauguration speech, he said he's putting politicians on alert. That the government is going to start looking out for our best interest. And I think we're missing the point. A large selection of the population voted for this man. And the lesson we should be learning from all this is that we want something different. Now, it might not be the same different that you want this time around. And that's all right. But let's look at this on the big picture. And it doesn't matter if Democrats, Republicans, Mitt Romney, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, all these same names, they're not looking out for your best interest. Is Trump? I don't know. We'll find out. After 4 years, we'll find out. But what we should be taking away from this is that we have the ability to bring someone else in that isn't an insider. And that, to me, as an American citizen, is encouraging. Now, Trump had a lot of money, but instead of us protesting and going on marches, let's find new leaders who can continue this trend. And let's get these deadbeat politicians who are living like fat cats, the ones who aren't working, let's get them out and let's get people in there where we can get some things done. And if they're your ideas, great. If they're my ideas, great. But let's get something different in there. And that's what we should be taking from this election. All right, the former owner of our company took me to his Rotary luncheon on Monday, and the guest speaker was Jim Sterk, the Mizzou athletic director. Have you ever been to a Rotary luncheon? They sing songs, they collect money, and I've been to these as a guest, and I'm not sure what to do. Should I be donating to the Happy Jar? They come around. Why are you happy? Donate $1 and tell us why you're happy. I know they're raising funds, but I was like, do I need to contribute? Anyway, I'll get to Sterk in a moment, but quick story. My Rotary meeting, I got invited to go to Decorah, Iowa, and speak at their Rotary meeting. And they wanted me to talk about the Iowa Hawkeye radio network. Before I started doing sports at Missouri Net, I would travel to different states, sign up radio stations to cover college sports. So I went all across the country. So anyway, Iowa was one of my schools. So this radio affiliate says, come to our Rotary meeting, talk about the Iowa Hawkeyes. So I'm in front of mostly older people. And now listen, I've been on the radio, speaking publicly. This doesn't really make me nervous. Speaking to this Rotary Club made me nervous. How nervous? Have you ever been so nervous that you're standing there and you can feel sweat running down your back? I had sweat running down my back, over my butt, down my legs. That's how nervous I was. Nothing got my face, but I felt the sweat just running down my back. That's how nervous I was. And I don't know if it's because we were singing songs and I didn't know the words and I didn't know if I should donate to the candy jar. And so all that stuff going on, it was all new to me. So I get up there. Well, now I start to get into my element, and now I'm speaking. And it looks like the people are engaged and they're asking questions. And I think everything is going well. And I'm about halfway through my speech and I look in the back and there's this woman who's about 70 years old who's just passed out in her chair. I put her to sleep. Her head is down and she is out cold. And that's the only spot where my eyes were fixated on. Was on that lady sleeping. As I'm talking, I'm like, look at this. I put this woman to sleep. You talk about the sweat pouring down my back then. Oh, it was awful. But anyway, so Sterk spoke for about 20 minutes at this Rotary meeting. And I didn't ask questions because I'm a reporter. And I told him afterwards, I went up and said hi to him. And we chatted for a few minutes. I said, look, I don't want you to think that, they popped a ringer in here to nail you with questions. I let the Rotary take care of it. We were laughing. But during his talk, he mentioned about men's basketball. Somebody did ask a question about men's basketball. And he said they've hit rock bottom. And he said they can't get much worse. And I thought that was a very telling statement. One of two things. If the team doesn't win and they're at rock bottom for an extended period of time, he may have to pull the plug on Anderson. It didn't get any better. We're at rock bottom, and we've been at rock bottom for a long time. So it's not going to get worse. But if it doesn't start improving, that's his out to get rid of Anderson. Now, if Anderson and his players can muster up a few wins in the second half of SEC play, does that buy him another year? Does it then look like they're clawing their way from rock bottom? So the fact that Sterk thinks they're at the bottom now, there is only one. It can't get worse. So in his eyes, it can't get worse for Anderson. And that's actually, I think, a good thing for him. Because if they can show some life, it might buy him some time. So I thought that was interesting. Interesting statement by Sterk. So as I mentioned, the Mizzou men, they have a 10-game losing streak. They're taking on a team like Mississippi State. Mississippi State isn't much of a powerhouse, right? They're kind of a middle-of-the-road team. Ben Howland is their coach, and I know when they hired Anderson, some people wanted Ben Howland. He's gone out, and here's the problem. And I talked about recruiting from Mizzou on the football level. Remember, I talked about 3-star recruits. You might get 3-star recruits who could play up to 4, or they might just stay where they're at. Mississippi State has 8 4-star recruits on their team. They're young too, but 8 4-star recruits. Who does Mizzou have? Frankie Hughes, 3-star recruit. Cullen Van Leer, 3-star recruit. This is all according to 24/7. Reed Nico, 3-star recruit. Terrence Phillips, 3-star recruit. Kevin Puryear, 3-star recruit. KJ Walton, 3. You want me to keep going? KJ Walton, 3-star recruit. Russell Woods, 3-star recruit. Mizzou has 1 4-star recruit, and he started in the middle of the year, Jordan Barnett. And he's the only guy who looks like he's got any touch on his shot. So here we go. We're fighting the same battle in basketball that we are with football. Mizzou is a 3-star recruit school. That's what they're good for. We'll get the 3-star recruits, and can we coach them up? And if we can, we'll have decent seasons. Okay seasons. Maybe we'll hit the jackpot every few years. But Mississippi State has 8 4-star recruits. Do you think Mizzou's going to win tonight? No, they're going to lose their 11th straight. South Carolina, who they host on Saturday, 3 4-star recruits, a 5-star recruit on their roster. You think Mizzou's going to win that game? That's going to be tough. And then after that, they play Florida, who has 6 4-star recruits and 2 5-star recruits. So it all comes back to the recruiting numbers. But I just named off 7 or 8 3-star recruits that are on Mizzou's roster, and they've got 1 4-star. It's no wonder they've lost 10 in a row. All right, real quick, I want to run through this. These are the RPI rankings. There are 351 Division I basketball programs. Here's the RPI rankings for schools in Missouri. Missouri State is 144. UMKC is 180. SLU is 242. Mizzou 276. And SEMO 305. Bring on baseball! Please!
Follow Bill on Twitter at Missouri Sports. You've been listening to The Bill Pollock Show.